Hi everybody. We're starting right at 12, so hopefully folks aren't too late. So my name is Anna Eyrich. I'm with the Blackburn Hamlet Community Association's Environment Group. And I am super excited that we have EnviroCentre here today, and we have a good number of folks who joined us as well to learn about home energy retrofits, how it works, the home energy audit process, and the rebates, financing, and grants that are available. And I'm super thrilled to have Melanie Johnston here. She's the Director of Energy Programs at the EnviroCentre. Melanie has been working through the province of Ontario, helping homeowners discover the most efficient and financially viable ways of reducing greenhouse gas emissions through their home energy use. For over 15 years, Melanie has been advising people on how to make their homes more comfortable through meaningful retrofits and simple home upgrades. And that's what she's here to talk about today. So the format of the session, just to give you a brief overview, Melanie will introduce EnviroCentre and talk about how it works if you want to do a home energy audit and make some retrofits in your house. There will be some Q's and A's. You can ask your questions in the chat. And we'll wrap up around 12:45. So a nice short lunch and learn on what is a snowy, although it doesn't look snowy anymore, a snowy day. All right, without further ado, over to you, Melanie.
Thank you, Anna, very much. And thank you everybody for joining us. So yeah, we are here today to talk about home retrofits and energy audits. It's a short session and we hope to give you a sense of where to start and what resources are out there for you. Before we start, we'll just do a little housekeeping. So for those of you who don't know us, EnviroCentre is a nonprofit environmental organization based here in Ottawa. Our core mission supports sustainable lifestyles, which means that we encourage people to take action on climate in their own lives, in their homes, their workplaces and businesses, their communities, and right here in our city. By pointing folks towards practical ways to reduce their environmental impact, we help them make lasting positive change. Our work focuses on 4 key areas: green homes, green transportation, green business, and green lifestyle. Just a few logistical notes before we start the webinar. Please note that this session is being recorded so that we can share with all those who registered and were unable to attend. If you wouldn't mind keeping yourself muted during the presentation, we will also be monitoring questions in the chat box, so please type them there and we can bring them forward for a Q&A period following the presentation. If you're watching this as a recording, hello, please record any questions you have and send them to info@envirocentre.ca. And now we'll get to today's subject. So I'll go about sharing my screen here, the awkward moment. And we will select and hoping folks are seeing a slideshow. Yes, all good? Great. All right. So I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth about retrofits, to be honest with you. My slides are a little short on the actual energy audit process, but happy to answer any questions about that after the presentation. So EnviroCentre, as I mentioned, is a local environmental nonprofit, and our mission is to provide people, communities, and organizations in Ottawa with practical solutions to lighten their environmental impact in lasting ways. And again, we work in green homes, active transportation, green lifestyles, and green business. So today we're here to talk about green homes. So why retrofit? Let's move this thing bigger. Oops. There we go. So April 24th, 2019, the City of Ottawa declared a climate emergency. At that time, they developed a group called Energy Evolution, and they set aggressive targets for the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions through existing homes, new homes, transportation, and waste. Did you know that existing homes make up 22% of the greenhouse gas emissions in Ottawa? And to meet the targets that the city has set, we need to retrofit 27% of residential buildings by 2030 and 98% of residential buildings by 2050. That is a whopping 327,000 single family units, or about 20,000 retrofits a year need to occur. So what is a retrofit? It's basically any home renovation that reduces energy consumption and fossil fuel use. And we've got lots of different types of retrofits. So we've got lighting and appliances. We will talk about building envelope, your mechanicals and your ventilation. We have to address water. And then lastly, we'll just touch on what a net zero retrofit would look like. So lighting and appliances, basically we're looking at conservation first. So we can retrofit our houses all we want, but if we continue to not conserve energy, our greenhouse gas emissions will not be reduced. So we still have to turn off the lights when we leave the room, and you still have to turn off the water when you're brushing your teeth and all that good stuff. But a really easy way to make an impact on energy use is actually to just retrofit your lighting. So moving away from incandescent or CFL light bulbs to LED, they will reduce your electricity load and produce savings of about 75% on an annual basis. Same thing with appliances. So, you know, when it's time to start replacing your appliances, you always want to be looking for Energy Star. They typically save anywhere from 10 to 50% a year. And I always put induction stoves in here because we're really trying to get folks to get off fossil fuels. And I am a little bit of a foodie. I love to cook, and everybody's always passionate about working with gas stoves because of how they react to the heat, and you're able to control them a lot better. But I always put in a little plug for moving to an induction stove. Really, really energy efficient, and they perform just as well as gas stoves. So when you're looking at doing your appliance renovations, retrofits, these are the things that we want to be thinking about. And then lastly, on the appliance side of things, we like to talk about smart systems. So smart systems are things like your thermostats or other systems that you have in your home that learn your behavior. And it's a visual display of your energy use. So if you've got a smart thermostat or a smart system, it literally tells you how much energy you're consuming. You know, I think about it as almost like a gas pump when you're filling your car with gas and you're watching those sort of numbers tick along. You're in your home energy use. If you're actually seeing the kWh, your kilowatt hours, or your natural gas usage in real time, you're like, ooh, I could probably do something about that. And these systems can typically save you 30 to 40% a year in your energy costs. So next we'll move on quickly to building envelope. Really important step, and the one we recommend first. So what we want to do is tighten up our building envelope. So you want to make sure that you've got adequate attic insulation, foundation insulation, your exterior walls, and then comprehensive air sealing so that you're stopping any air leakage out of the house. Benefits there is it makes the house more comfortable, for sure. Definitely reduces the amount of money you're going to spend on your utility bills. And then most importantly, it actually ensures that your mechanicals are right size. So when you start to look at replacing your furnace, moving to a heat pump, if your house is nice and tight, then your mechanicals don't have to work as hard. So really important to get these steps in the right order. Part of the building envelope, of course, are windows and doors. So again, when you're replacing your windows and doors, you should be looking for Energy Star rated to your climate zone. You also want to make sure that that air sealing is done when you're replacing windows and doors. So again, just comprehensive caulking, spray foam around the windows and doors. And then you can also consider things like blinds and shades, which will help you mitigate heat gain and heat loss in the summer and the winter. So we really do promote a low-cost solution of blinds and shades to mitigate those things. Next, we'll jump into mechanicals and ventilation. So not a big, heavy text slide here, but really what you're looking for, again, the most energy efficient system. We are trying to get folks off of fossil fuels, stop burning things. And so really promoting heat pumps. In Ottawa, primarily, we're looking at air sourced heat pumps, although you do have some opportunities for ground source heat pumps. And then the other thing that you want to do is, because you've made your building tight now, so you're not getting any natural air coming in and out, you want to make sure that you also have adequate ventilation. So looking at a heat recovery ventilator or an energy recovery ventilator, that's going to ensure that you're still getting fresh air in the home, but it's in a really energy efficient way. And then we can't forget hot water. It's actually well, water in general is one of the highest utilities that you're going to pay, but heating that hot water is what we're talking about here. So what you want to do is when you're looking at your mechanicals, you're going to want to look at, for instance, if you're putting a heat pump in, you may want to add a heat pump hot water heater, but electric on demand hot water is another option. So again, you're not filling a tank full of water and paying the electricity and burning the greenhouse gases to keep that tank hot. You're just simply heating water as it's coming into your pipes. And lastly, we'll just chat quickly about net zero. So for those of you who don't know, once you've sort of conserved and moved away from your fossil fuels, you are now getting ready to be a net zero ready home. So net zero homes are defined as homes that produce as much clean energy as they consume annually. And that's generally using on-site renewable energy systems. They are up to 80% more energy efficient than a typical new home. When we talk about retrofitting, they're basically the same thing. We've renovated them to the exact same requirements as net zero. And they can either be net zero or net zero ready. So net zero ready is when you've done all of your air sealing, done all of your installation, you've replaced all of your mechanicals, you're not burning any fossil fuels anymore, but you haven't yet installed any generation of your own. So that would be, in this case, solar is what we would be recommending. So where do you start with all of this? Because it's a lot. Basically, your first step is always an energy audit. So that's an in-home visit with an energy advisor. And we really recommend that you engage with that person while they're in the home. They're there to answer questions and to really find out what your concerns are as a homeowner or a resident. So, are you uncomfortable? Are there things that you notice about your home? Are you interested in certain topics? Those are the things that you can talk to an energy advisor about. When they've completed the visit, they'll send you an upgrade report, and that is based on your concerns and what they found in the home. And at that time, you'll also be issued an EnerGuide label. And this is a visual label that shows you how your house compares to all the other houses in this country. And this is a national label. So you're comparing your homes to other like houses. So what does that energy advisor do? Basically, like I said, it's an in-home assessment, and they're there to collect data. So they're going to take measurements of your whole house. They're going to have a look at all of your existing insulation levels in your attic, in your basement, in your exterior walls. They'll assess the state of your existing doors and windows and recommend upgrades if those are required. They will record all of your heating and cooling equipment and any other mechanicals you have in the home. They will also assess the condition of your appliances. And then most importantly, they do a blower door test. So this is when we attach this red fan to one of the doors in your home, and it depressurizes the home, and it shows us where air leakage is occurring. So this is another great opportunity for you to engage with your energy advisor. Walk around when the blower door is on, and you will literally feel where you're getting air coming in. And that a lot of times that's a DIY thing, a couple of cans of caulking from the home hardware, and you can do some air sealing on your own. If you've got really big leaks, then you're probably looking at talking to an insulation contractor for some assistance in that. But the blower door test, like I said, is a really great opportunity just to chat with your energy advisor. So next, we'll just talk a little bit about available incentives and financing, which I know is a very hot topic, and I'll have lots more information to share as part of the chat as well. But currently, how are we going to pay for all these retrofits? You've got utility rebates and incentives. So typically you'll get some from hydro, you'll have some from Enbridge Gas, where they're looking at giving you incentives for things like windows and doors, insulation upgrades. On the hydro side, you'll see rebates often on heat pumps, coupons for smart thermostats, those kinds of things. So, stay tuned to your utilities and see if they have things to offer. Currently, we've got the NRCan Greener Homes program. So, that's $5,000 worth of grants, again, for the same types of measures. I'll show you some of those in a minute. And then the City of Ottawa's Better Homes Loan Program, which has been just incredibly responded to and really very very pleased to see the response because it does mean that folks are thinking about retrofitting their home. And I mentioned I've been doing this for about 15 years, and I must admit that for probably the first 10, it was really tough and hard to see any movement. But lately, it just seems the tides have really changed, and retrofitting your home has become the hottest topic, and it's really exciting for me and what I do on a daily basis. I get to come to these types of sessions and talk to some really engaged folks. So again, the Canada Greener Homes Grant, we're looking at things like insulation. There funding available for air sealing. Again, your windows and doors, thermostats, space heating. So in this particular case, the Greener Homes Grant is not incentivizing any fossil fuel equipment. So they are looking at folks to start to install things like heat pumps. Renewable energy. So if you're looking at getting a solar installation, you can get up to $5,000 for that. And then resiliency measures. So things like waterproofing your basement, ensuring that you've got some backup power and heating systems. Those would be considered resiliency measures. And then, of course, the City of Ottawa's Better Homes Loan Program. So I tried to update this slide as best I could. The program is currently under review as it's been really overly subscribed to. So that's great news. The city is looking for additional funding so that we can keep the momentum and keep going. So what it is basically is a loan that is 10% of your home value up to $125,000. The minimum loan amount is $15,000. When we first launched the program, there was a zero interest loan, which is tied to your property. So you pay that off over 20 years at the same fixed rate. The zero interest loan amounts have now been depleted. So we are looking at about 3.5 to 3.75% interest. That is fixed over 20 years and again, tied to your property. And this should be paid back to you through your energy savings. So once you've retrofitted your homes, you should see a significant decrease in your utility bills and your operating costs, therefore allowing you to pay back this loan. We have to have a pre-audit, as I just described, as well as a post-audit once you've completed your retrofit so that we can actually validate that. Really, the only thing that they're looking at from a credit perspective is that you've paid your property tax and your water bills on time. The homeowner manages all of the process with the contractor. And our financing sources so far have been through the Federation of Canadian Municipalities and Van City. And as you can see in this slide, apparently we thought we wanted 100 folks to participate, and rising to 4,000 in 7 years. We received 600 applications in 3 months. So bear with Darren as he tries to get back to all of you. And then lastly, we'll just talk a little bit about resources. So, where do you go to find out information? It's very confusing. There are competing rebates, there are competing programs out there. Folks are getting stumped. So first of all, your home energy report and conversations with your energy advisor are going to help demystify what you need to do in your home to make it more energy efficient. I'm going to plug our Better Homes Ottawa website. We launched this in October, and the idea behind it was a one-stop shop for everything to do with home retrofit. So if you're just a beginner and you're starting to get your feet wet and starting your retrofit journey, it's a really good place to go. It's also a really great resource for you during your retrofit journey. So again, a lot of resources on technologies, guides to finding contractors, some tips and tricks, some DIY information. And this is a living website, so it will be continuously updated and improved, but we're pretty proud of it. And we realized that there was nowhere like that in Ottawa to just try to find one place where you could get access to everything. Natural Resources Canada website, also a really good place to go for information if you're curious. Your contractors are also great resources. And then our community. So events like this, where we're able to actually share lessons learned, what folks are doing in their homes, they're really awesome. Talk to your community members, talk to your neighbors. When you see that sign out front, when they're getting their new windows and doors, have a conversation with them about it and what their experience is like, because you can learn a lot. And that's it for the formal presentation. I've left quite a bit of room for us to chat. So I will attempt to stop sharing. No, that's not it. Stop share. Look at that. Excellent. So I think, Anna, you're going to do some moderation for us if we've got any questions in the chat.
Yeah, we do have a few questions in the chat. So the first one is asking whether there is a spreadsheet tool to itemize and check all of the available NRCan and Enbridge retrofit rebates that can be used after the audit to assess what upgrades and rebates to do. Having gone through this myself personally, I have not found one. So Melanie, maybe you know of one. But what we did and we found useful, after you do your home energy upgrade, you get a report from your energy advisor that lays out all of the recommended updates. So the ones that will give you the most energy savings, ours had 11 recommendations, and it tells you how much energy you'll save. And we did a cost benefit analysis of all of those recommended updates in a spreadsheet. We put them in a spreadsheet. It tells you what the rebates are for that. So we've registered for Enbridge, NRCan, and we're leveraging the loan. So it's kind of a process to fit those together, but we had to make our own spreadsheet and we used our energy report as a basis for that. But Melanie, maybe you have more information on a formal process.
Yeah, so you're right. It can be very confusing. And in fact, those reports they don't necessarily give you the order or the priority, and it does leave it up to the homeowner quite a bit. So a few things. We do have a document that we submit or that we have a homeowner sign off that actually shows you which programs you would fall under. So whether you want to leverage the utility rebates for, say, your insulation, move on to NRCan to cover your heat pump, and then the loan program when you're installing your solar, say. I would suggest as well that we have other resources here at EnviroCentre. So we do have the ability to talk to an energy coach as part of the Better Homes project. So you can reach out to our home performance specialist on our team, and they can help you prioritize that. We're also going to have a few hosted sessions with a few different homeowners to, again, talk about lessons learned. The other thing that we've developed is a stepped recommendation report to net zero, which again really does show you the steps in which you want to achieve your savings and how to go about it. It's kind of a good, better, best scenario, and those are being provided to folks who have applied for the loan. We're a little behind on that just because of the overwhelming demand. But yes, I would suggest we do have a homeowner. I cannot remember the name of it. It's got a really weird little acronym, but I will follow up with our team and make sure that that those are being provided, and I'm sure that we can put that on the website as well. Anna, that would be a logical place for us to put a matrix there together. So make a little note for some improvements on the website.
Excellent. I've noted that down as well. So the next question is, how picky is the government program about the windows that are eligible? So I think you covered that. They have to be Energy Star certified windows. And NRCan's website, there's a link in the chat, provides more details on specifications for the NRCan program. And Enbridge also requires Energy Star certification for their doors and windows and skylights. But if you want to speak more to that.
No, you hit the nail on the head. You're very experienced, and I love that, having a homeowner who's actually gone through the process. But yeah, really the only requirement is that they're Energy Star. They don't care which windows they are, and it doesn't have to be all of the windows either.
Okay, and the next one is, how much of a difference does siding make on the exterior? And is it better just to paint the current siding to reduce waste, or should they actually spring into insulating siding, and what % of heat loss is created by siding? Once again, I can start with what we learned from our house and the Hamlet, if you want. So the Blackburn Hamlet houses traditionally are 2x4 houses with fiberglass batt insulation, which means we have about R12 in our walls, which is not the current code. Current code is much higher than that. So for our house in Blackburn Hamlet, our exterior walls account for 25% of our heat loss. But when you're looking at exterior siding, it's air sealing. So are the walls air sealed, which they're not in Blackburn Hamlet. So if you redo that, you would improve the air sealing of your walls, but then you have to deal with ventilation and moisture. And also exterior insulation. So then you break the thermal bridges. So it's not just the siding, but it's more the insulation and the thermal bridges instead of just looking at the siding itself. But Melanie, if you want to jump on.
I feel like we need to hire you. You want to come to all my workshops? That was great. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, sure, we could look at embodied carbon. We can talk about waste for sure. What I would suggest is that we're trying to deal with our construction waste in an environmentally friendly way. So I can understand that question. Is it, am I making the environment worse by ripping off my existing siding and then adding new siding? I would suggest that the benefit of having that insulated siding, and again, as Anna pointed out, the air sealing, all of that stuff, by adding insulation from the exterior to get yourself up to R20 or more, is definitely going to be a better bang for your buck in the end. Your energy savings will pay for that, and you'll just reduce your greenhouse gas emissions. I would, however, suggest that you look at donating the existing aluminum siding to Habitat for Humanity or another group, so that we can reduce the impact there.
That sort of ties in with another question further down the line of reducing waste during the retrofit, and concern about the retrofits not making as big a difference in filling up landfills versus the energy savings. And I know there have been some reports on embodied carbon, so that is kind of on people's minds.
Yeah, it's a big one. It's actually an area that I'm really starting to dig my teeth into. So we had a couple of Telfer students actually do some case studies for us on the concept of unbuilding. And so really looking at how we're dealing with our homes. So there is not necessarily a service currently in Ottawa that is really, really looking into this, but it's a conversation that you want to be having with your contractors. And I would suggest that is a decision. It would be part of the decision making process, I suppose, is really having a conversation with your contractor on how they will be dealing with your waste, your renovation materials. And then, as you've mentioned, when we start to look at the materials that we're putting into the homes, we're also looking at the amount of carbon that's gone into them. There's been some really great strides in insulation products with low embodied carbon. And then it's not necessarily intuitive to suggest that you don't just replace everything all at once. But if you just got a new natural gas furnace last year, we're not suggesting that you rip that out and throw a heat pump in, because that had a lot of carbon go into making it. So what we're looking at doing is reducing how much gas you're using, maybe installing that heat pump, but keeping your natural gas as a backup heat source. Because again, I mean, we're looking at end of life. So, you just bought new appliances, maybe they weren't Energy Star. I'm not suggesting go out and buy all new appliances. I'm saying when you do look at end of life, and actually look at them before end of life, because of the supply chain issues and everything else that's going on, inevitably, you have to have a plan, especially for furnace replacements, because typically your furnace dies in the winter. So you should probably have a plan a little bit ahead of time. Unfortunately, so not a whole lot on the construction waste, but it is something that we're looking at, and we've got a whole bunch of stakeholders that are meeting around these types of things. So
thank you. So the next question is, are there requirements for certain upgrades to be performed by professional contractors? For example, could I replace my door myself, providing it is an approved door, and still get a rebate? I know about the door because we replaced ours with an Energy Star door ourselves, and we got the rebate through Enbridge. But I think that perhaps through the Better Homes Loan Ottawa program and NRCan, it might be different. So I'll let you speak to that if you know.
Yeah, typically DIY things are allowed. You just need to provide a receipt for the materials. Obviously, you're not compensated for your own labor. But if you're looking at a door, for sure, we've had cases. Well, air sealing is another one where, as long as you're providing receipts for the materials that you've used, they would qualify both for loan and greener homes. Insulation is one that comes up. Folks are like, oh, can I just throw some attic insulation in? You can, but keeping in mind that there are other things that you need to consider when you're looking at insulating your attic. So ensuring adequate ventilation, again, proper air sealing done. It's not just a matter of, chucking a couple of bags of fiberglass up there. There's some other building science, house as a system things to consider. But yeah, DIY things, as long as you're keeping the receipts. That's probably the biggest thing to remember, is keep all of your receipts.
So this next one definitely is a Better Homes Loan Ottawa program question. Electric vehicle charging. Are you aware of incentives to retrofit electric vehicle charging infrastructure in single dwelling units or mid to high rises?
I am not the EV expert.
Okay. I think that through the Better Homes Loan Ottawa, you can actually, for single family,
Yeah.
you can finance that through the program. So electrical upgrades and anything related to that.
Yeah.
But mid-rise or high-rise, I think they're different programs. So I'd have to look into that as well.
Yeah, they are different programs when we start to look at multi-unit buildings for sure. But yes, through Better Homes, absolutely. You can install charger, you can use funding to upgrade your electrical panel, which is most likely required, especially if you're doing a heat pump. You've got to increase your amperage to the home, and you can use up to 30% of the value of the loan for those types of things. The other thing that it'll do for you as well is some cosmetic things. So for instance, if you are drilling and filling insulation in your exterior walls through the inside, you've got a bunch of holes to patch, you can actually apply some of the loan funding to paint the house after you've insulated it and those types of things. So the full details for all of the products eligible for the loan is on the Better Homes Ottawa website. So I encourage folks to go there.
I just posted a link also from Hydro Ottawa. I haven't read it in detail, but it's about multi-unit buildings and EV charging. And there is funding through NRCan. I just don't know who and what is eligible for that. Okay, another one. How do we get an energy audit and what is the cost?
So you can contact EnviroCentre to book an energy audit. There are also lots of other service organizations in the city of Ottawa. If you are looking to go through the Greener Homes grant program, you do need to register with NRCan first. That's your first step. You'll get an application email that gives you an AP number. That's actually not the next step. Then you'll get an approval. And at that point, you will have selected as part of your registration, the service organization that you'd like to work with. And then your service organization will reach out to schedule a visit. That information, I believe, is also on the Better Homes Ottawa website, or you can go to envirocentre.ca to learn a little bit more. Initial assessment is $500. The follow-up assessment is $250. Audit fees also reimbursed through the Greener Homes program, or you can use loan funding as well to cover those audits, and the same thing with Enbridge. So a portion of the audits is reimbursed to the homeowner. I think for Greener Homes, it's up to $600. So you're out of pocket a little bit of money, but most of the time those fees are fully covered.
Okay, another question is about if I take advantage of retrofit programs with my current house and then we move, can I do them again with my new house?
Yes. Yes, you can. And we would love you to do that. Just keep on retrofitting. We only have 20,000 a year to do, so.
Another question is about specifics on window coverings. So this question is, they have a number of windows in their house that will cost a lot of money to replace, like 20K, which is not cheap, but blinds could be an interim measure. Is there funding for something like that, for blinds and window coverings? Like, are they eligible?
I feel like the loan program will cover window coverings, window tint, like you can use films to apply to your window. You can also get solar blinds. There are a couple of manufacturers here in town. They're not cheap, but they are definitely cheaper than replacing all of your windows. And they really do make quite a big difference. They're typically reversible. So they'll allow you to harvest the heat in the winter and then reject the heat in the summer. Regular old blinds, like I've done it myself, and I have a very large picture window. I live right near the experimental farm. We get a ton of wind and it's freezing cold in the winter and burning hot in the summer. We have really heavy curtains that we keep, and it makes a huge difference actually. And I'm almost 100% positive that the window coverings would be covered as part of considered a retrofit through the loan program. It would be an eligible measure.
Yeah, the only thing to consider is the 15,000 minimum, so you'd have to do that in addition. But actually, we found at Costco last year thermal blinds for like 2 for $30, and they made a huge difference as well. So there are more affordable options. Wood burning fireplace with no insert. what should I do to keep an alternate heat source? So this person has a wood burning fireplace, but there's no insert. What should they do, or what are some options to keep it as an alternate heating source? That might be beyond the scope of.
Yeah, that may be an energy advisor conversation. However, I would, there's a few things you can do, first of all, with a wood burning fireplace. There are dampers and inserts that you can put in them that are very, very low cost that stop air leakage. So that's a big one. I'm not sure I fully understand the question. I think you're looking, what should I do to keep an alternate heat source? I mean, if you're looking at putting a heat pump in, I would suggest just keeping your fireplace as your alternate heat source. And to be honest with you, there are carbon impacts from burning wood, obviously, but when we talk about resiliency, you know, the power goes out in the middle of winter. It's nice to be able to just start a fire and keep your house warm. So I have mixed feelings about fireplaces, apparently, and I don't have a comprehensive answer. But if you'd like to shoot an email to Better Homes, we can get one of our energy coaches to have a look at that.
I think we're caught up on questions, unless I missed anything, or if there are any other questions or anything out there. Otherwise, we might end early. Does anyone else have questions? I can, I'll fill time. So I just went through this process, and we've leveraged funding from Enbridge. So if you have gas to your home, you're eligible for projects under Enbridge. Obviously, if you cut your gas to your home, then you're not eligible for Enbridge funding. But we have tried to leverage all three programs in order to do deeper retrofits. You can't stack them. So if you do air sealing on one program, then you have to claim the benefit under one, either NRCan or Enbridge. But I highly recommend the energy advisor as a first start. Oh, someone asked, I did forget a question about the cost of the home energy retrofits, or sorry, the home energy audits. So that is covered by Enbridge or Greener Homes Grant. It's about $650, depending. I don't know what the current price is, but that's for the before and the after, and that will be covered if you are registered for the Enbridge program or the Greener Homes Grant program. It's not covered by the Better Homes Loan Ottawa program that comes out of your grant funding. But it was an extremely interesting process to walk through with the advisor and see where the home is leaking energy through the blower door test, using the thermal camera to see where, like, the thermal, I guess where the heat escapes through the bridging and the walls and around the windows. And I can't speak highly enough for how interesting that was as a step one. And I'm looking forward to our step two when I can get an appointment with our
That's the exciting one. That's when you get to see how much energy you actually saved. So, you know, you're given a rating of how much gigajoules of energy you're using, and you should see some reduction. So I appreciate the plug for energy audits. They are really interesting. I've had several done in different houses. I've attended quite a few. They're super beneficial. I should also point out to the city of Ottawa has infrared cameras actually that you can borrow from the library right now. So they did invest in those. So I think there's a bit of a waiting list on those, but they are definitely helpful for your own diagnosis. Again, especially as you were talking about doing some DIY air sealing, you know, having a look to see where air leakage is around windows and doors. It's very, very handy. And we can provide that as a service as well.
And I haven't seen any more questions, so perhaps I will wrap up. But for anyone who's in the Blackburn Hamlet community, if you're interested in home energy audits or want to talk more, feel free to connect with us in the environment committee group, and there's a climate subgroup as well. I can talk about home energy upgrades and retrofits all day. And I know there's a few folks who are also interested. But if there are no other questions, I would like to say a sincere thank you to everyone who joined today. I was not sure, maybe the snow was in our favor instead of going outside for a walk. And my sincere thanks also to Melanie and Zifa, who agreed to join Blackburn Hamlet Community Association today for this home retrofit and give us their time, because I know they're extremely busy, and share their knowledge and insights. So thank you so much. I learned a lot, and I look forward to hopefully sharing more of that knowledge.
That's
Thank you.
awesome. Thank you very much, Anna, for having us. And again, yeah, I would, highly suggest you get on our mailing lists, check out Better Homes Ottawa. And in fact, I'm going to put a little plug in for our Future Homes Ottawa Phase 2 pilot project. So we're looking at really doing large scale community-wide retrofits. So have a look at the Future Homes page on the Better Homes Ottawa website to learn more about that project that we have upcoming.
I would love Blackburn Hamlet to be one of those. I would love.
Let's get it happening, and I'm all over
Yes.
it. So, we've got our work cut out for us, and that, I think, when we start to look at neighborhood wide, we can see some real benefits for everybody. So check it out.
Yeah, especially we have a lot of the same buildings, so it
That's
makes
right.
it easier because they're cookie cutter, but yeah.
Right. You'll be our demo home.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.